Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 19. Arrivals Road outside of Hot Springs, Konoha no Sato. Legends speak of a legendary roadrunner, a great blue bird with the ability to cross great deserts faster than a starving Akatsuki to all-you-can-eat buffet. Wherever this bird runs, great clouds of dust follow it. People have called it by many names: Fasticus praecus, Birdicus swiftus, and Runningus fastus. But here, a larger dust cloud was forming behind something even faster than the legendary bird. This particular creature was larger than the Roadrunner, and had a different set of names. They've called him Todicus pervertius, Sagus kabukian, and most appropriately as of now, Godfathericus tikofticus. In other words, it was Jiraiya of the Sannin, who was extremely pissed. Stopping for a breath next to the tree oddly planted near the hot springs, he was seething to himself. When I get my hands on those two bats, they will regret me having to drink all that coffee to get here so quickly. He turned his head by instinct towards the hot springs. No, must resist research. I must destroy the bats, he huffed, before noticing an advertisement on the wall of the hot springs. Senior citizen 60% off hot springs, today. Jiraiya was grinning evilly. Knowing the old cheapskates, they'd be in there, enjoying the hot springs at such a discount. Perfect place to kill them. He knew quite well that behind the very same wall were the woman's hot springs. Kaharu would be in there. Focusing, a blue sphere of rippling chakra in a spherical form appeared in his hand. He snarled, Rasengan, before destroying the wall. However, the Sannin made a mistake. He forgot that the hot springs staff waited 24 hours to remove such ads. Thus, it was not Kaharu behind the wall. Instead, he had the misfortune to blow up the wall while several kunoichi were enjoying the hot springs: Sum Inazuka, Hana Inazuka, Enko Mitrashi, Yugao Azuki, Kurenai Yuhi, Yoshino Nara and the other wives of the old Ino Shikacho trio. Now, normally this would be considered research. However, after realizing his mistake, he attempted to make a run for it, but he felt a bite to the leg, and fell out conscious. The furious kunoichi then rapidly dressed, before dragging the man away for torture. Let's pity him. Hokage's office. Naruto-kun, I understand that you three and Sasuke are naturally friction-inducing, but please try to avoid fighting with him every chance you guys get. We don't want to do the council any favors, the Hokage commented. So we put him in again. And Sakura attempt too, no big deal. They'll be out by the exams, Naruto shrugged. Fu sighed. You'd think a good punch like that would have kept her out of it for years. Guess some things just don't come true. Other than that, as you three are too well aware, Konoha is now in a state of great divide, and that divide hangs on you and Sasuke. They either love what you've done, or want you dead or exiled. Of course they knew they could count the places that would let them in on one hand. The barbecue place, the hot springs, Ichiraku's, the local weapons outlet and some store that sold female things that Naruto didn't want to know about. Hence the reason they didn't have much of a diverse wardrobe. Because of that, many of our apartments are extremely hesitant to allow any shinobi tenants in. Those with apartments already find themselves facing higher rates, something the damn civilian council has full control over, and trying to change that would destabilize the shinobi supplies, allowing for Iruka's removal, the restriction of cheese and Naruto's banishment, to name a few. So what's this have to do with me? What, do I have to hug the Tem or something? Fu and Haku laughed at Naruto's joke. That'll probably kill him. Fu giggled. No, we aren't that desperate. However, there is something you can do for us. Being the owner of the former Uchiha district, which has been renovated by Anbu as the former owner didn't do an adequate job in keeping them habitable. For that reason, we need to use the area for temporary housing. The Chunin exams, right? Haku asked. The Hokage nodded. Yes, the partakers arriving in Konoha over the next 2 weeks, hailing from Kumo, Iwa, Suna, Kusa, Aim, the new Odo, and Taki. Fu flinched, who have been told of our laws and the punishment for breaking it, will require housing. Their villages are paying for the expenses, of which a pay will be sent to your bank account. Oh, sure, that's great, we've been okayed. The Sandyame smiled. I did it personally, and warned the proctors about any possible civilian schemes. Well, you better get back to training, the Hokage smiled as the trio left his office. Dropping his smile, he went back to the various laws in front of him. Banning of any mention of the flames of youth, tempting but no, he tossed the bill. Passing of legislation limiting maximum amounts of courses at restaurant, tossed. Banning of orange clothing. Are they that blunt, denied. This one is actually somewhat realistic, requiring history projects at academy, he put this one on the much lesser passed pile. Importing of foreign bug death spray. For the Abarame's sake, denied as well. Voice ordinance request for Haruno household, thank you Sum-san, passed. Sadly they missed the fact that the Haruno were now ninja, and with the Inuzuka in hearing distance. The pinkies are being fined. Deployment of ninja to spy on Danzo, only if I can deploy ninja to spy on you just the same, rewrote and sent back via Anbu, who handed him a newer one. Repairing damaged wall at Hot Springs, wonder if we can keep it damaged, sadly, he passed this one, but asking the Anbu. And when did this happen, and how? The Anbu replied. It appears that Jiraiya-sama has returned, and destroyed the wall, and is now recovering in the hospital from poison, attempted castration, blood loss, broken arms and legs, and mild psychological trauma. The Hokage stood up immediately. My student has returned. Cancel all my appointments for the rest of the day, this must be big. Road towards Konoha. Fire Country. The infamous Killer Bee, the hero of Kumogakure, found himself walking down a well-trodden path, alongside several others. Two of them had oldie brown skin, an oddity in most of the elemental nations but actually common north in Kumo. One had long red hair, and was a flat-chested female. The other had platinum-colored hair, and a lollipop in his mouth. The other two were fair-skinned females, with rather large chests. One showed it off more presently than the other, and had short-cropped blonde hair. The other covered them with bindings under her purple jumpsuit, her hair a lighter blonde than the other girls. Honestly, yo, I don't understand why you gotta come with us, Yugito-chan. After all, when I go about, things don't always blow out, he rapped. The dark-skinned duo grinned. Nice one. Killer Bee smiled. I know, after all I'm the Kumo rap king. And it's not just because my bro made it my thing. The purple suit wearing female sighed. Like I want to be doing this, but someone has to keep you from doing something stupid, like always. That, and your rapping sucks. Killer Bee froze in place, his face paling. The dark-skinned male began to panic. Oh no, Killer Bee sensei is frozen. What if those harsh words of yours cause him to get gray hair, and then he loses his CONFINDENCE, and then aliens attack? OMNOI, that's a little over the top. The redhead yelled. Yugito sighed. Whoever said that blondes were dumb, never met them, she commented with a smile to the only quiet student of Killer Bee. The large-chested female rubbed her shoulders. I hear you Aunt Yugito, but sometimes they're cool. Killer Bee, finally unfrozen, caught back up with them. So, who's going to make the grade? After all, the Chunin all have it made, Yugito chuckled. Yes, all the fun, and no teaching too. Perhaps that was a decent rap for a change. But if you ask me, only my niece is going to pass the cut, the two dark-skinned genin were fuming. What the? Are you being racist? Yugito sighed. No, honestly people are too quick to jump on that bandwagon these days. No, it's just you two aren't mature enough, though then again your sensei isn't mature enough either. How the hell did you make Chunin anway? Killer Bee grinned. I blew up some Iwa nin. And then fought off a dozen Iwa Chunin with two hands tied behind my back. By them, Yugito shook her head. Sadly, that somehow seemed realistic. You're just amazing Killer Bee sensei. Killer Bee gave Omnoi a thumbs up. I know right, it's the Song of Thunder. The horror, just imagine if Guy and Killer Bee met. Konoha streets. Naruto, Fu and Haku strolled the streets, ignoring the hostile glares stemming from the civilians. Is it depressing when children are immune to that? I can't wait till I pass the genin exams. First thing I'm going to do is get Sasuke to scrub the crap off all the roads in my district, he chuckled evilly. Fu and Haku smiled. You haven't passed yet, Naruto-kun. It takes more than just brute strength to be a Chunin. That and we have to get to the finals first anyway. After the survival and written test, the two girls kept walking for 40 seconds before they caught notice of a frozen Naruto behind them. Written test, Fu shivered. You know, I agree with Naruto-kun, that sounds nasty, Haku shrugged. All depends really, the written exams are designed to be tests of intelligence. Aw man, I'm doomed, Naruto mumbled. Haku shook her head. There's more to it than that, and not just book smarts. Trust me, from what I heard from Zabuza-sama, this test isn't about intelligence, I mean that Mizuki-tem and Ebisu man passed. Naruto blinked. You're right, thanks Haku-chan, I might just live. He smiled, before he tripped on a strange square-shaped rock. The rock then flipped off, revealing three little kids with goggles on their heads, led by a boy with brown hair and a giant blue scarf. The box rocketed down a nearby lane behind some fences. Hey boss, Naruto sighed. Hey Konohamaru. Dot and company, Konohamaru grinned. Been a while, ain't it boss? Wait, this is the Naruto-san you were talking about. Kaharu Bachan said he was the embodiment of evil, the redhead asked. Fu chuckled. Sure, he's very evil, oh come on. A loud shrieking was heard as the brown-furred cat Tora, the bane of Genin, was chased by a scraggy-looking dog who looked like a dirty tumbleweed with legs, the infamous Puffy-san. Let me put it this way, kid, that is more evil than Naruto-kun. She pointed down the alleyway, meaning to be pointing at either the diabolical cat or the ancient Pomeranian. But instead, she found herself pointing at a different cat, or should I say, some weird teenager in a black cat-like suit, with purple makeup and a giant bundle on his back. Next to him was a dirty blonde-haired girl with pupilless teal eyes, with some large metal thing on her back, in a purple sweatshirt and black shorts. Both had the Suna High 8. Hey, WHO are you calling evil, punk? The suited boy yelled. Konohamura chuckled, before yelling. You, because only evil people wear makeup if they're guys. Said boy's eye was twitching, while somewhere else, a pale man found himself insulted, and felt more desire to kill his sensei than normal. Sarutobi. Back to the present. It's not makeup, it's war paint. The girl chuckled. Come to think of it, I do have some nail gloss that shade. The boy turned his head rapidly. Not you too sis. The girl eyed the group with curiosity. So, just some brats and a few Konoha genin. Not worth it. The girl turned around to leave, but the catboy blocked her way. Not this time Tamari. These punks have a lesson to learn. And Crow's going to teach. Shut it, Konkuro. You're an embarrassment to our village, a gravely voice said out of nowhere. The sand genin flinched, Konohamaru and Kid Company shivered and Naruto, Fu and Haku stared up in interest. Standing upside down below a nearby tree's branch, was a boy with red hair, a giant gourd on his back, with teal eyes sort of like the Tamari girl, with black rings. In an emotionless tone, he said, or I'll have to kill you. Chapter 20. The Reapers Fight. By the power of the dragon flame, I ignite this story's flames of youth. Konoha Lane Fu, Naruto and Haku found themselves staring at this world-class raccoon-eyed creep. What kind of guy would threaten his own teammates, decides Sasuke. Who was this, the Suna version of Sasuke? Gee, Gaara, Konkuro gasped, sort of like a terrified mouse when a cat cornered it. But this time, the cat was cornered, by some weird raccoon man. He glared at the trio of children. They are not worth proving my existence with. He turned his gaze towards Team 11, but, there, his gourd began to vibrate, before he twitched. Danger. No kill, no kill. Yes mother, he muttered. He gazed at the trio. Mother says I can't kill you, yet. But when the time comes, you will prove my existence. The trio shivered as the boy body flickered away with sand instead of winds and leaves. Kill later, alone. I hate the little punk, Konkuro grumbled. Tamari frowned. Leave it Konkuro. She seemed sad as she looked at the spot her brother had been just minutes ago. She didn't look back at the trios of Konoha kids, but said, well, see you at the exams. This time, she seemed unnerved. What sort of things would scare Gaara, her brother who held a demon inside of him anyway? In a distant hillside, Land of Earth, a panting man collapsed to the ground. His age may be great, but his hair was still a dark red, with no sign of graying. His chakra felt like it was running on empty, and that never happened with him, one of the few good things that came with being the Yondi's Jinchuriki. The hill he'd been battling on was scorched, coating in cracked magma and burning trees. But somehow, both of his opponents managed to avoid being incinerated. You'd hope that those large black cloaks they would be easy to catch fire with a few tons of lava. One man had a scratched headband of Takigakure, and strange green eyes. He wore a bodysuit that covered his hair. The other was a silver-haired man with a Yugakaure headbanded that was similarly crossed. Dangling on his neck was an emblem. The Johanist's emblem. He'd met his kind before, they were a bunch of nuts who believed in pain and slaughter. But this guy was just wrong, even for his kind. After all, someone who got his arm seared off by lava, laughing and then having the strange tacky guy repair the arm, couldn't be sane. You're more of a fucking challenge, you old coot, than we thought. The boss better be happy we've got you, you four-tailed bastard, he said in a colorful sentence. The man growled. Don't count me out, yet. I am Roshi, the Jinchuriki of the Yondi, the four-tailed monkey. I am the brother of Onoki of both scales, the Sandyame Tsuchikage. He did a few rapid hand signs, lava release, lava geyser. A geyser of lava burst out from below the Johanist, setting him ablaze. The green-eyed man sighed. You are a fucking fool, Hidan. Water release, mist clinger. The moisture in the air started to condense around the immolating man, clamping down on the fire, as the creep remained there, laughing as if getting boiled didn't bother him. You bastard. Jahan will have your soul. The green-eyed man sighed. Hidan, can we just grab him and go? Hidan glared at the downed Jinchuriki. No Kakuzu, he shall fucking suffer. Hidan drew out a nasty-looking scythe with 3 red blades, and jumped at the downed Jinchuriki. Fool. Kakuzu shook his head. The fool was going to get his acting like that. And they needed the guy alive. Unlike some retards. He thought of his teammate as he said this. People usually don't survive a pierced heart, Jinchuriki or no, but before he had a chance to stop him. Wood release. Poison ivy SAP wall. A wall of poison ivy rose up from the ground, and trapped Hidan in the sap. He roared out. Who's the fucking bastard? Via body flicker, the form of Taysun appeared. He took notice of the utterly exhausted form of Roshi. Honestly, aren't you a little inconsiderate, attacking old people? Taysun rose an eyebrow. Jinchuriki or not, Kakuzu gazed at the man. That man. You are Taysun Uzumaki. He took out a bingo book, a rather recent one at that, and turned a few pages. Taysun Uzumaki. Village unknown. Rank, approximately high A or S class. It appears that more than a few people have their eye on you. The civilian council of Konoha will pay big ryo for your head, not to mention Pain-sama, he grinned. Looks like we get 2 big ones for one fight. Taysun shook his head before doing the hand signs boar, dog, bird, dragon, serpent and monkey, before smashing his hands into the ground. Sorry Kakuzu-chan, I'm afraid I don't plan on killing you just yet. Mr. Soul Society reject here, however, sacred sealing art. 9 sacred flavors, battle arena sealing. Out of nowhere, the ground began shaking, as 9 giant, ramen cups of all things, made of stone rose from the ground in a unified pattern, before a shimmering light formed in between them. A barrier seal, with Taysun, Roshi and Hidan inside it. Kakuzu sighed. Oh great, more waiting, he looked annoyed. Hidan glared at Taysun. You think that fucking ramen will hold me? Jashin will devour your soul. Hidan broke free of the wall and leapt at Taysun. He stood still until the last moment, before letting out. Wind release. Hurricane gust. A strong blast of wind struck Hidan, sending him into the air. Bitch. He tossed his scythe straight at him, or a release, or a wall. Taysun did a few hand signs before a wall of blue chakra rose up and blocked the attack of the scythe. Using a cable connected to his arm, Hidan scowled. Don't you fucking play with me. He flew at the chakra wall as his psyche started to glow red. Wall Searer. His blade activated one of its special gimmicks, slicing through the chakra wall using Hidan's chakra. He grinned as he stabbed Taysun with his blade, before Taysun grinned. Kaboom! Scorch release. Scorch clone implosion. The clone exploded in a burst of heat that resembled an atomic bomb explosion in miniature. Water release. Bubble barrier. Using bubbles, the real Taysun and the tired Roshi were sparred from the explosion. As the explosion cleared, one pissed Hidan found himself breathing in fury. "You bastard. How dare you nuke me?" Taysun sighed. "And yet you're still alive, perhaps the most dangerous of the non-pain members of Akatsuki proper for that reason alone. Thus, one of the reasons I must destroy you. Thread man, however can walk for now." Kakuzu scowled at his nickname. "Die." Hidan laughed maniacally as he slammed his blade down towards Taysun, who barely dodged it. But with a grin, Hidan turned to Mud. "Mud clone," Taysun said in shock. This guy actually could do something other than his stupid curse thing. It was then that he felt his arm get grazed. Taysun's eyes went wide, the scythe now had his blood. "You will taste quite nicely." A Johannist symbol appeared below Hidan, as he retracted his blade to him for the completion of his deadly technique. Taysun growled. Scorch release. Heat wave. A wave of intense heat rolled out from Taysun, consuming the battlefield and evaporating the blood from the blade. Hidan took a lick of the bare metal, and growled in fury. "How fucking dare you interrupt my ritual?" Hidan leapt at Taysun ready for another slice of blood. Dodging the attack again, Taysun did a quick hand sign, as a heat clone appeared next to him. The clone nodded and jumped away. With a few rapid hand signs, Taysun smirked. Storm release. Beast wave palm. A wave palm, consisting of bustling lightning and clouds flew into Hidan, smashing him into a charred tree. Kakuzu rose an eyebrow. How does this guy have all those keke genke? No wonder Pain-sama was overwhelmed, and actively planning revenge. Hidan forced himself up, his cloak now in tatters. "How long till you get it? Retard, I can't fucking die." Taysun shrugged. "Maybe not by nuclear explosions and battle, but maybe, wood release, binding apple branches." Rising up from the ground were apple trees, that quickly bound Hidan's arms. Kakuzu growled. "Wood release." Now, he jumped back. His heat clone was now behind Hidan. Welcoming approach. Thousand-armed Murduer. Behind heat clone Taysun formed a multi-armed illusion, as hundreds of hands began buffeting into Hidan, causing him to scream in pain and swearing. "I may be able to do that particular trick, but not to a point like a ninja monk. Still, it does a good job for this." Apple Shurikan. From the apple trees, apples rose and acted like projectiles, filling Hidan's mouth and stuffing his throat. "But perhaps, you can die from lack of oxygen." Hidan, now muffled by apples, tried to break free, his cries muffled. Taysun, panting, sat down. How much time did he have anyway? And why would he fight an immortal like he normally did? Hidan yelled, as a dark aura surrounded him. Kakuzu rose an eyebrow. This was about to get interesting. Jahanist ultimate move, humanity slaughter rage god. Hidan rolled back his head as he entered his black-skinned state, even though he lacked the blood to do so. His scythe fused with his left arm, as a new one grew to fuse with his right arm. Two bat-like wings sprang out of his back, and fangs now hung from his mouth. Taysun gave him a disturbed look. "That is freaky, I will fucking kill you." Hidan flew at Taysun, as the blades on his arms extended. Taysun did a few quick hand signs. Storm release. Dual blade strike, Katrina and Andrew. The two blades of storm formed in his hands, as Taysun lunged at Hidan's mutated form. With an evil laugh from said psycho, the two collided in a massive explosion, and only Hidan emerged out of the cloud. He laughed heavily. "I killed him, now for you." He flew at Roshi's weakened form, as Kakuzu's eyes widened. "You fool, we need him alive." Hidan flew at Roshi with an evil laugh, before he stopped abruptly. Kakuzu's eyes widened. Purple crystal had formed on the Akatsuki member's foot, and it was rising fast. "Crystal release. Crystal pentagon prism," Taysun said with a smirk. As the crystal rose, Hidan was whimpering. "But, how in the name of hell? Call it a combination of substitution, a water clone, and your own idiocy," Taysun said, "but now, it's over." Hidan was now completely trapped by crystal. He turned his head towards the weakened Roshi. "So, you want to kill the guy? I'm a little low on chakra." Roshi nodded. I wanted to do that. Earth release, Earth fist. Roshi smashed the crystal with a rock-coated fist, cracking the gem. Before it exploded, with the body inside it disintegrated. Taysun smiled. Well then. Goodbye. Taysun chuckled before he warped both of them away via body flicker. Kakuzu sighed. This was going to be a long report back in Konoha, apartment in Uzumaki district. So, Tamari-san, you're saying that this team apparently was able to unsettle Gaara, a feat his own father can't even accomplish. Baki, their half-face covered sensei, questioned. His favorite student, the only one who wasn't messed up mentally, either by makeup or by a sealed demon, nodded. Yes, Baki-sensei, and apparently all three of them will be in the Chunin exams. Baki looked thoughtful for a moment. This doesn't make any sense. Gaara has never shown fear since he snapped. But for a team of genin to do that, his eyes snapped wide open. Tamari-san, make sure Konkuro-san doesn't blow up the microwave again, and try to keep Gaara from going on a rampage. Lord Kazekage needs to hear this, if my thoughts are correct. What do you mean? Baki gave her a look. It could be possible that one or more of that team were just like your brother. Baki body flickered away. Temari's eyes went wide. Jinchuriki, here, that could destroy the invasion. But none of them could be Jinchuriki, they seemed too nice, too loved, not insane like her brother. Or, were they the norm? And Gaara was now the exception. Tamari had memories of a nice Gaara, long ago. Did they make the monster she now saw in her brother? What kind of sister would do that? That night, Tamari cried herself to sleep, and her dreams were tormented by crying young Gaaras. Yonechan, what did you do to me? OC techniques. Water release. Mist clinger rank. See description. A lost jutsu from ancient times that uses the water in the air to put out fires. Sacred sealing art. 9 sacred flavorts. Battle arena sealing. Rank. S description. A ancient and powerful Uzumaki sealing style involving ancient ramen cups. The ramen cups in this formation form a battlefield barrier. Aura release. Aura wall Kekkei Genkei. A description. A wall of chakra is formed to block attacks. Scorch release. Heat clone Kekkei Genkei. A description. A clone made of heat is formed to mimic its creator. Scorch release. Scorch clone implosion. Kekkei Genkei. A description. A heat clone is imploded, blowing up the foe with heat. Storm release. Beast wave palm Kekkei Genkei. A description. Storm version of beast wave palm. Wood release. Binding apple branches Kekkei Genkei. C description. Miniature apple trees form and bind the foe. Jahanist ultimate move. Humanity slaughter rage god. Rank. S description. A power that activates all 8 chakra gates and mutates the user into an ultimate foe. User dies at the end. Chapter 21. Datao make 2 love and heat. In the dark bowls of Konoha's underground existed a great complex of tunnels. Here lies the hidden root legions, commanded by Danzo, the only non-useless elder in Konoha. Currently giving his report was Sai, his emergency plan. Should that Uchiha act against Konoha's interest, Sai was to destroy him, after obtaining DNA so he could breed Uchiha root ninja. He didn't have any female root, because of their slower physical growth than his male root. That, and the fact they wouldn't have the emotion to use their gender to their advantage, such as seduction. However, he did have some experimental test tube growers for children he had removed from one of Orochimaru's newer lairs in Konoha before he fled. He'd used them for the Uchiha breeding. Danzo-sama, I have a question. Danzo glared down his root. What is it, and it better be worth it? Sai stared blankly up. It's just, I've noticed something from observing Naruto-san and his team. It appears that somehow, their emotions appear to be able to increase their power, but emotions are flaws. How is it this is happening? Danzo stared into space as he contemplated the question. Root, it is true that emotions are flaws. One needs to control them, for anger will lead to recklessness, and fear will lead to failure. However, there is one emotion that can be beneficial. Love. Sai appeared confused. What is love? Love is an emotion that rises from great attachment towards someone. They say that if you fight to protect something you love, that you'd be stronger. It leads a person to be willing to sacrifice it all, to see it unharmed. It's the ultimate power for both the offensive and the defensive. You'd slaughter 100 Jonin if that was what it took, just to protect what you love. However, to capture love, to harness it, no one has ever been able to do just that. To even attempt it, one easily falls victim to imitations and worse emotions. He gave a thought towards the idiot fangirls that crowded their academy. However, Naruto is a special case. A Jinchuriki, easily the greatest weapon of a shinobi village, shunned by people, overeaten by emotion, but still able to show emotion that reflects goodness and not hate. And in doing that, he appears to have 5 females interested in him emotionally, and physically. He had placed his Fu, the Auburn Yamanaka, and Torun, Aburame, on spying on the group, and found it interesting that the Jinchuriki had won the hearts of the Hyuga Hira's, the last ice release user, another Jinchuriki, a mutant and one of Orochimaru's elite, and this without even trying. Root, as I've told you, Naruto is the higher of both the Uzumaki and the Namikaze, a fact I know alone among my fellow, and much incompetent, council members. Should the Sandyame ever divulge it, and even if he never does, the boy's accumulating Kekkei Genkei will cause it instead. He'd be placed into the CRA, and thus allowed to marry multiple females. This would place him as the potential sire of many powerful children. Within him is the storm release of Kumo, as well as the extinct scorch of Suna and the ancient aura release that once existed in Taki, and the 5 most likely dams of said offspring possess the Byukugen, the nearly gone ice release of Kiri, a new aquatic Kekkei Genkei, and possibly the 2 most dangerous. Orochimaru's female minion, whose clan has a special way with demons, and the fellow Jinchuriki. As you are aware, I once managed to obtain classified files from Kumo concerning Jinchuriki, revealing that Jinchuriki offspring are more powerful than regular shinobi offspring. They are naturally born with more chakra than most chunin, and often have a mark that affiliates them to the beast inside their parent. Naruto's dam, Kushina Uzumaki, was the previous fox Jinchuriki, and thus he was born with his whisker marks, and his already formidable chakra reserves augmented with the fox. You've already seen his potential as his chakra control increased. Now, imagine if he has a child from the Orochimaru minin, the enhanced chakra would be more controlled due to her blood, thus creating the anomaly of a high-reserved child with powerful control of their chakra. And possibly even more worrisome, should be breed with another Jinchuriki, the child may possibly naturally contain a new Byu. This is a possibility few villages ever tested, due to the normal reluctance of using females as Jinchuriki. Root, I assign you a mission. I need you to attempt to induce breeding between Naruto and any of the mentioned females. Others may work as well, but be advised to focus on one of the 5 with interest. This mission will be difficult, so you won't be killed should you fail. Sadly, this isn't like back in my day, when kunoichi were for breeding, as early as possible, so he can't just take them legally. Stupid consent law. Mission attempt. Sai was leaning against the door to the new Ichiraku's, a Fox Breeding for Dummies book in his hand. He pondered for a brief time. So, foxes breed when in heat. So, if I turn up the temperature, this should induce a sexual recidin, he smirked as he vanished. Meanwhile, inside of Ichiraku's, Naruto, Haku, Fu and oddly Hinata, who had asked to come with them, were enjoying their ramen in peace. Also inside here were Temari and Gaara, along with several assorted Aim, Kusa, Konoha and Suna Genin, with their sensei. Temari had insisted Gaara come with her as part of her, Gulati's sister makeup attempt. Kankuro had laughed when she told him of her plan, but said he had sent a warning to Suna's morgue. So Gaara, how's your ramen? Temari asked. Gaara didn't show any emotion, but said, it's better than anything in Suna. It makes me want to prove my existence. Temari's eyebrows shot up. Against whoever is keeping this delicacy from that place, Temari relaxed. Meanwhile, in Suna, the head of the health department, a conservative old man, suddenly shivered and had thoughts of retiring to the land of the moon. Suddenly, everyone except for the Suna Nin, started to sweat real heavy. From the desert, they were used to the heat and took more to sweat. Hinata started panting and turned red. Is Hinata-san? Naruto asked concerned. Fu, whose sweat was starting to make her cotton top somewhat transparent, sighed. Hinata-san, you're going to burn up with that jacket of yours up. Haku formed ice on her hand and placed it on her forehead. Though why it's so hot, I don't know. Fu unzipped Hinata's coat, revealing her black training coat. Suddenly, all the males in the vicinity, with the exception of Gaara, found themselves staring at Hinata. Wow, she's hot. These Konoha women are sexy. Wonder if she's single, Hinata eeped in nervousness. Naruto smiled, his eyes closed. She's not. Fu laughed. No, she has clothes on. Naruto opened his eyes, and blushed red at the sight. Hinata was developed. He then noticed something on Fu, her sweat-soaked cloths. And he wasn't the only one. Wow, that green-haired chick ain't bad either, she's got smaller knockers, but that tan. Hey babes, want to come to my place for the night? Naruto suddenly felt protective, but why was that? Was it just the fact he didn't like people looking at his friends like that, or did he just want what he was seeing all to himself? Kakashi must have rubbed on him. Naruto shook his head to try to banish the perverted thoughts. Maybe we should get out of her. As soon as he said that, several males surrounded him and had him by the scruff of his cloths. So, you want all of that hotness to yourself? What's a shrimp like you got that we don't? Meanwhile, the Konoha genin, who distrusted Naruto's group, decided to flirt with the only other nearby female. So, is it just hot in here, or is it just you? One more idiotic male said, getting his face into Temari's. Somehow, this was bothering Gaara, and oddly Shukaku. Kill the pervert. The gourd on Gaara's back started to rattle, as sand started to slip out. The genin saw this, and fled for his life. The Shukaku, however, wasn't done. Now kill whoever turned the fucking heat up. The sand slid under the door, and a scruffle was heard. Ninja art. Paint army. Sai yelled as the sand found itself being attacked by paint swordsmen, archers and cavalry. Gaara stood up, confusing Temari. He did several hand signs. Tailed beast art. Sand barbarians. The sand being attacked by the paint army found itself being attacked by a group of barbarians made of sand. This great battle eventually destroyed large portions of the civilian district, Ichiraku's being spared by Gaara's like of the place. Naruto and the girls ended up beating up a large army of perverts with various kick to the balls, before the three girls took him off to a pool to clean off the sweat. Hinata read like a beet the whole time. And Temari found out her brother was a perfect repulsion for perverts. That of course turned sour when Kankuro told Gaara to keep any male away from his sister. He found his makeup, excuse me, war paint, tainted with blueberries, which he is horribly allergic to. Hey, I might just also do some Kankuro bashing. OC techniques ninja art, paint army rank, a description, a paint army of paint warriors is created to fight foes. Tailed beast art, sand barbarians no rank, a ish description, a army of barbarians is created out of Shukaku's sand. Chapter 22. The exams begin. Office of the Tsuchikage. The short and cranky form of Onoki, the red-nosed, balding Sandyame of Iowa, and the grandfather of one of the competitors in the upcoming Chunin exams, Kuretsuchi, sighed as he was reading a letter from his younger brother, Roshi. He put it down with a sigh. When Mu, his sensei from back in his youth, had declared him his successor as Tsuchikage at age 20, so he could pursue his rival, the Nindyame Mizukage's, demise, they were having a crisis. The Yonbi, the four-tailed monkey, attacked the village, and they had to seal it away. And Roshi, the youngest of his 6 siblings as age 2, was sadly available for sealing the damn thing inside of him. Despite his full attempt to protect his young brother, and his brother's skill, few could look past what was sealed inside of him. They couldn't look at the positives of it, like the lava release that he obtained and later was able to help tutor his granddaughter in the use of it from the ape, and his youthful appearance. Hated by the majority of the village, no back pain, toss up. Roshi had left the village to learn to control the power of the beast, though he was not labeled a missing nin and would come to aid Iowa in times of need. In fact, the man had assisted them in their war with Konoha and was the only Iowa nin to ever face the yellow flash, and live. But still, the idiots that used to be the civilian council treated him like the Yonbi reborn. Then, they had to drive one of his other grandchildren, Han, the Jinchuriki of the Gobi, out of the village while he was away visiting his brother. Of course, after a dust release, the council was disbanded, and Iowa found itself jumping up in the best shinobi village listings, at becoming the second of the 5 great shinobi villages to dispose of the civilian councils. Kumo was the first when the council tried to oppose A's brother's training, and Kiri would destroy the council once the shinobi won the power struggle, of which Onoki had no doubt. However, in a swirl of wind, 2 figures appeared in his office, one who was cloaked in a brown cloak that obscured his appearance, the other was the exhausted form of Roshi, his brother. Roshi Otudo, what have you done, you fiend? Fire release. Dragon flame jutsu. Out of Onoki's mouth, a dragon made of flames roared and flew straight at Taysun. Water release. Bubble barrier. A barrier of bubble were blown out of Taysun's mouth, blocking the flames. He then shook his head. Tsuchikage Dono, explain why. If I had decided to defeat your brother, why would I bring him to you instead of making sure he was dead? Onoki glared at him. He's right, Roshi breathed out. Onoki gave him a quick smile, before turning his attention back at Taysun. Then, why bring him back here? You're not one of my ninja. Any other ninja would have captured him and stole his power. The Yonbi, yes, sealed via a 3 stalagmite crossing seal, adequate for someone not of my clan. I could have reversed it in a heartbeat. Onoki's eye was twitching. And of what clan are you then, that gives you the right to mock our best sealers? Taysun was grinning. This could be seen as he had partially begun to remove his hood. As he had about half of his face revealed, Onoki and Roshi's jaws had hit the floor, and was going. Wow, that's not. You can't be. My clan, the Uzumaki, the greatest sealists of the elemental nations and beyond. He recovered his face. So, it appears my appearance startles you both. You're supposed to be dead. We confirmed your death dozens of times, Taysun sighed. So is Uchiha Madara. However, I am the last, so don't get your old person diapers in a twist, Onoki snorted. I don't have anything like that, Madara. Taysun nodded. Yes, Madara, he's still alive, and he's after special people. He gazed at Roshi as he said this. Jinchuriki. Yes, them. Both Han and Roshi are in grave danger. I know you can't do much for Han, but make sure at least Roshi is protected. His plans can't work without all 9. Oh, and tell anyone I'm still alive, and I will destroy Iwa, Onoki laughed. That's a load of bull, even you couldn't destroy an entire village, Taysun chuckled. You're not truly sure of it, are you? He vanished via a warp seal. Onoki collapsed into his chair. He's right, he probably could. He looked into the distance. Roshi Otudo, welcome back by the way. Regain your strength, and I'll reinstate your Jonin rank, and afterwards, I need you to go and attempt to reason with Han. You've got a better chance than I do, at least. Konoha. Top of Hokage Monument. Taysun reappeared on the Hokage Monument, staring into the sinking sun. Hearing something behind him, he turned to see Fluffy shaking her head. She glared at him. Why didn't you let me help you deal with the fucking vampire wannabe Akatsuki? You know quite well you're much more powerful with my help. Taysun continued to stare into the sun. It's quite simple, I didn't need your help. When I actually need it, I will take it. She was annoyed. You could have ripped the masked one apart if you let me help you, and that path of pain would be nothing but slag. But no. Fluffy-chan, shut up will you? What I do or don't do is my choice, not yours. But, you did as I asked, right? She growled. Don't you call me that. And yes, I did. The little brat now has your scroll, he smiled. Good work. She smiled lustily. The little kid's already a lady charmer. You don't think? Fluffy. No cougaring. Well, excuse me if I. Fluffy, continue the train of thought, and I'm locking you up again. That shut her up. That guy locking her up didn't fulfill any sort of sexual fantasy of hers. That just meant a cage, and endless boredom. The next morning, Namikaze residence. With a yawn, Naruto opened his eyes, to find Fu and Haku in his bed again. Apparently, they liked the new sleeping arrangements, and secretly Naruto did too, but being decent he didn't try anything. When your bed was being shared by a girl with inhuman strength, and another who could make your balls implode, one didn't ask questions. Blinking, he noticed something on his chest. It was a sealing scroll, and a heavy-duty one at that. Moving his arm in a way that didn't wake Fu, who wasn't a morning person, he opened the scroll, to find it showed seals holding dozens of other scrolls. However, separate seals obscured most of them. The seals he could open in the immediate future were the ones containing lightning, water, fire, aura, storm, scorch, and senjutsu scrolls. Also there was seal for a scroll called Chunin Exams for Dummies. A name was signed in the corner. Taysun Uzumaki, the Wanderer, the Remnant, the Seal Sage, the Scroll Master, the Awesomely Cool. Fluffy, the Servant, the Lusty Bimbo, the Terror, she who worships Ika, she who should never read my description of her. Naruto scowled. While this appeared to be a nice gift, this guy was annoying. Several weeks later, Chunin Exams after a couple of weeks of new arrivals and last-minute training, where none of the Konoha genin teams managed any missions, which oddly a certain feline was enjoying immensely, it was time for the infamous Chunin Exams. While Taysun's scroll greatly aided the training of Fu, Naruto and Haku, they didn't get any help from the ones who actually wanted to teach him. Kakashi had been in hiding, trying to avoid teaching the Uchiha. The brat and his council lackeys had been trying to force the teaching of his deadliest techniques, including the Rasengan and Rakiri. The Sandyame had agreed to send him on a 6-month mission to Moon Country, and was gladly using the time to avoid all duck-haired emos, girls with voices the same tone as scratched chalkboards and strange pale robot children. The other was Jiraiya, who was still recovering. Enko had poisoned the buffoon with a special poison that wrecked chakra flow, that flared up with perverted thoughts. Add that to the point that she had applied the Konoha Kunoichi swimsuit calendar, from years ago in his room with a permanent fixture seal, stuck on the Tsunade page. The perverted man had no chance. He had to be kept out conscious while they tried to find an antidote, while preventing the nurses from sabotaging it. Somehow he had most of Konoha's females wanting to kill him with his stunt. Anyhow, currently the team felt confident the scroll had given them enough of an edge from the other teams. Currently, they were in the gathering room for the test takers, the first there. Simple reasoning really, they didn't want to give the council any way to hold them back in an accidental fashion. As they waited, they began to contemplate their strategies, Naruto and Haku especially. They were to try and keep their respective Kekkei Genkei obscured if possible, especially seeing as though Storm was a still-alive Kekkei Genkei from Kumo, and Scorch was a recently extinct one from Suna. It would raise questions they literally couldn't answer. They noticed the first teams to enter the room. The solo team from Iowa, whose sole female, who had black hair, was watching Naruto with a look. He sighed. Did she see his resemblance to the Flash or something? Because that was all he needed, a team out for revenge for something he didn't do. Also in first was the solo team from Kumo, consisting of 2 dark-skinned genin. Naruto had no idea someone's skin could come in that color naturally. Haku explained that was common in Kumo, and a pale-skinned blonde female with large breasts about the same size of Hinata's, just shown off more, something that annoyed Fu and Haku. Not that he was looking, he didn't need his teammates, dealing with him, after all. It was then the third team arrived, and Fu cringed. This team was from Taki, and leading the team was a greasy-haired black-haired male, followed by 2 other greasy brown-haired males. He frowned, and said with loathing, "Why, if it isn't the Skeeter." Naruto glared at them and growled, while Haku discreetly made ice Senbon. "I'd be careful if I were you. This isn't Taki, there are some things you shouldn't be saying." Haku smirked. After all, Anbu were in the area. He glared at her. He knew she was right. "Bitches," he swore, before looking at Fu again. "To you, that must be a compliment. After all, the only good bug is a dead one." The blonde-haired female with large breasts listened in on the conversation while her teammates honed their songs of thunder, or something. Was she the only member of their team who was sane? Never mind, she turned her attention to the Konoha team. That girl, and the blonde-haired one, they reminded her of her sensei and aunt somehow. It couldn't be, could it? Konoha didn't have any Jinchuriki. Did they? No matter, she'd better keep an eye on them both. Several other teams entered the room after this, including a team from AIM in strange straight-jacket/potato sack clothing, who saw Fu, soiled themselves, and fled for the hills. Fu managed a smile from that. Do we want to know?" Naruto asked her. Fu chuckled. "Nope." The team with the creepy raccoon boy apparate in the next wave, and vanished into the crowd, along with a team from Konoha with a strange boy in a green bodysuit with horribly clashing orange leg warmers. Otto, the boy appeared to be glaring at the Kumo team, and the dark-skinned ones glared back. Samui and the boy's teammates looked at them in confusion. Karui, Omnoi, what's with you guys? Lee, dare I ask what you're doing? They continued to glare at one another. That boy, I sense something that rivals the Song of Thunder. I will thrash him for Killer Bee Sensei. The dark-skinned female growled, as oddly rumbling lightning clouds and musical notes appeared behind them in a strange ode to joy-like chorus accompanying it. The blonde-haired girl paled. Crap, it's that genjutsu again, why can't I dispel it? She thought in despair. Those two, I sense something strange in them. It reminds me of my flames of youth, but oddly it is not. It is a rival power. Guy-sensei will want me to defeat it for the glory of youth. The weird boy in the green suit oddly now had a sunset behind him, with thrashing green waves and fires in his eyes. His teammates flinched. Yet another reason I need therapy, that evil genjutsu, his male teammate thought. How does Lee do that? His female teammate cringed. I thought he couldn't. The two oars collided, as the rest of the genin started to shake in fear. What is that? Demonic power. The Iowa female shivered. It's worse than the yellow flash. Kill it, evil, evil, it burns. Arg, it's not enough I'm sealed in a human, now this. That, horror, urg give me Madara over that any day. I suddenly no longer wish to prove my existence, Gaara shivered. Konkuro closed his eyes in horror. Crap, that, horror that's being unleashed in here, might ruin the whole invasion. Gah, it's worse than math class. Naruto groaned. Can I have the jerks back on my back? Fu prayed. Anything but this. The next arriving group of Aim and Taki genin, alongside a Kusa team with a bespectacled red-headed female, fled for their lives from the technique. And that's the first exam. They all were thinking as they fled. However, the disturbance quickly dissipated, as the remaining teams began to gather, among them a trio of genin with musical note-marked hayates. Sound nin, just like Tayuya-san said, Naruto commented. Haku glared at him. Hey, I'm just saying, say you think any of them are Orochi. No, Haku shook her head, but the Hokage is prepared, so let's just leave it at that. More genin began to enter the room. Among the last to enter were Naruto's fellow graduate team, first Team 8, with Hinata, the obscured Shino and the hairy Kiba, then Team 8, home of the lazy Shikamaru, the thin Ino and the plum Choji. And last, was Team 7. Naruto and his team decided to observe the going-ons for laughs. So, the Dobi and his bitches aren't anywhere to be seen. Too weak to enter, huh? Sasuke grinned. Sakura nodded. They must have been too embarrassed to show themselves around the Dobi, and would rather be with you, Sasuke-kun, Ino groaned. Was she ever like that? Actually, I saw them in here when we came in, Shino commented. That shut them up. Dobi, get out here now and show yourselves to your betters. Hinata glared at him. So, he shouldn't show himself to you then. Kiba laughed. Sasuke glared at him. Shut it, Kerr. Hey, you guys, a silver-haired Konoha genin with large glasses commented. The group gave him a strange look. Stop making such a commotion. Only then did they notice everyone staring at them, and they all started to shiver nervously, aside for Sai, Sasuke and Shino anyway. Who are you? Hinata asked nervously. He smiled. The name's Yakushi Kabuto, you must be the rookie genin I heard about. Wait, how do you know that? Ino demanded. He smirked. My sensei works in intelligence, I hear about a few things. The silver-haired kid then entered a lecture about the exams, that Naruto had already read about in his books and the readers don't want to hear again. Things got interesting again, however, when he showed off some orange cards. My cards here have info on virtually everyone here, so anyone you want to hear about. Sasuke answered. Several actually. Rock Lee, Gaara of the Desert, myself for the heck of it, Naruto Uzumaki, Haku Momoichi, Fu Takiboshi. And what about the ugly Iowa girl and the giant-chested Kumo one? Sakura added. Said girls twitched in annoyance, that voice really traveled. I am not ugly. She roared, trying to get at the pink-haired siren reject, her teammates restraining her. They wanted to pass, an incident like a pre-exam mauling wouldn't help at all. Samui-san, shouldn't you? The dark-skinned male asked. The non-Song of Thunder infected girl shook her head. It's cool, sometimes a little bit of fear helps. You actually know most of their names, not fun at all. But, for cotton candy's descriptions, I'd guess she'd be referring to Samui-ni and Kuretsuchi of both scales. Well then, he drew out several cards and eyed them. Here they are, he smiled as he laid them out. Rock Lee, student of Might Guy, teammate of Tenten and Neji Hyuga. Naruto rose an eyebrow up hearing this. Hinata flinched. Virtually all skill in taijutsu, 20D ranks and 11C ranks. Gaara of the Desert, aka Gaara Subaku, son of the Yondiame Kazekage, his teammates are his siblings Tamari and Konkuro, mentored by Baki the Wind Saber, skills unknown, 8C ranks, and what the AB rank, without a scratch. The group, aside for Sasuke and Team 11, were alarmed. AB rank, and not a scratch on him. Shikamaru gasped. This guy's going to be troublesome. Agreed, now for himself, Sasuke Uchiha, teammate of Sakura Whore. Haruno. Ino laughed at the mispronunciation. My bad, and Sai, former teammate of Naruto Uzumaki and Haku Momoichi, mentored by the copy Nin. Hitaki Kakashi 12D ranks and AB rank, where unlike Gaara he was nearly killed. Sasuke and Sakura looked annoyed for some reason. Hey, we did AC rank too, that turned A. Oh, that one, you guys were removed from it. And look at all these violations of conduct, my Mayuranati one. Kabuto teased, skills are all around. Naruto Uzumaki, former teammate of Gumhair and Duckhead here. Now teammate of Haku Momoichi and Futakiboshi, mostly self-taught due to lack of sensei because of the elders. Hinata looked furious for a second, and the rest of the non-bashed group looked disgusted. 26D rank, 3B rank, and 1A rank. Whoa, an A rank. You're kidding, Kiba said shocked. Naruto smirked. The pissed face on Sasuke was hilarious. I'm not. That Dobi stole what should have been my mission. Anyway, uses both Tai and ninjutsu, with a speciality in sneaking, skills in seals, and a master prankster. And almost inhuman chakra levels. Samui was listening to this, and it only gave more credence to her theory. Kuretsuchi groaned. He could be difficult to beat, if he was linked to the Flash. Fu Momoichi, former student of Momoichi Zabuuza, same team as above, 19D rank, 3B rank, and 1A rank, mainly ninjutsu, and shocking chakra control. Fu Takiboshi, formerly of Taki, 15D rank and 2B rank, mostly taijutsu with ninjutsu behind her, and slightly lesser chakra levels than Naruto. If these guys don't make Chunin I'd be shocked. Sasuke and Sakura looked like they'd kill if they kept hearing more, and Hinata was smiling. Naruto was getting positive acknowledgement, aside from the jerk duo next to her. Samui Ni, student of Killer Bee, the guardian of Kumogakure and brother of the Raikage, Hinata shivered, teammate of Karui and Omnoi, 14D rank, 15C rank, and AB rank, and she didn't get horribly injured. Sasuke glared at him, ninjutsu user, and appears to have skills in kenjutsu. Samui grinned, she'd be worried if he'd known any of her jutsu. And finally, Kuretsuchi of both scales, granddaughter of the Tsuchikage, don't know her teammates, 10D rank, 15C rank. Her skills are ninjutsu and a bit of taijutsu. The competition is going to be fierce today. Maybe this won't be my lucky 7th time. A huge burst of smoke then filled the room. Listen up maggots. The exam has begun. Chapter 23. Exams, Bubbles and Explosions. Chunin exams. Konohagakure no Sato. Out of the mist appeared a giant man dressed in black and a little legion of Chunin with evil grins. However, the hulking man hadn't a smile on his face. Greetings, maggots. I am Morino Ibiki, your first exam proctor. He put his hands together and gave a Grinch-like smile. Follow me, and prepare. For your written exam. That man is creepy, Sakura grumbled. Ibiki heard this, and appeared behind her via a body flicker, and looked down at her with an evil grin. So, you think I'm creepy, Sunburn? Well, glad I'm doing my job. He flickered back to his original position. Follow me, and any more comments will result in immediate termination. The group followed, because they had no idea if termination meant from the exams, or death. The man led them into a rather normal classroom, and handed people numbers, designating where they'd be sitting. It ended up with Naruto sitting next to Hinata. To the shy girl's mixture of delight and nerve-see, Haku was in the back on one corner, and Fu in the other corner. Then Mr. Tall and Dark began a speech about test rules, that the trio didn't bother listening to. Zabuza had explained that these tests were never for the grade, and didn't really affect your exams, unless you got kicked out. For that reason, Fu, Haku and Naruto just had to avoid looking like they were cheating, and they'd pass. So, having a teammate trained by a sadist was useful, even if Haku was highly competent in torture as a result. Of course they still had to answer at least one question to make it look realistic, and since one of the questions asked about how to form shadow clones, and elemental release usage and how to determine one's affinities, they'd be pretty much set for the illusion they were taking the test. They could instead focus on other, more beneficial parts towards the exams. Fu had discreetly summoned small beetles with her summoning jutsu, and had a plan involving those tacky boys, Duck Boy, and the itch that cannot be scratched. Haku was going to use this time to observe the actions of the teams that were the most likely and powerful rivals for them. The Kumo, Iwa and Odo solo teams, the team with the green-clad weirdo, and that Kabuto guy's team. Something about that guy just didn't feel right to her. Her training with Zabuza was flaring up every time she saw him. While Naruto was commanding his shadow clones in both his and the Sandyame's plan. The Sandyame had decided putting the village on edge for the invasion would be the best possibility, so Naruto had his shadow clones henge into various genders and builds and pull off random acts of sabotage. Earlier incidents had included a rustle in the library involving books on the history of Konoha clans, blowing up minor explosives in the weapon shops that weren't Naruto friendly, leaving a few of them undamaged to hide any possible connection and pretending to map the wall layout of Konoha. Today they were to discreetly dig a hole underneath Konoha to connect into the sewers, that a unit of Chunin would discover, and the clones would pretend to be enemies committing suicide by explosive tags to hide their identities. Hopefully, this would help the Sandyame prepare for the invasion in a manner that Odo spies wouldn't be able to detect, instead suspecting some other village was planning something instead. Woods outside stronghold of Sugimito clan, Master Utakata. A girl with dirty blonde hair in form-fitting pink yelped as a man in blue robes that showed his chest with brown hair was smashed into a tree by a white skeleton-like tail. He hit the ground with a groan. "Don't call me that, Hotaru," he muttered, forcing himself up. Two weirdos in black cloaks, adorned with red clouds, stood in their path. One was hunchbacked and the other had blonde hair in a ponytail. "Give it up, Jinchuriki. We have a need for your services, and I don't like to keep people waiting," he said in an oddly robotic voice. "Be glad I didn't use poison on you," the blonde chuckled. "Sasori, my man, you know quite well we can't do that. He wouldn't survive long enough to do his duty." He eyed the girl. "However, she is a work of art." "No, she's not, Deidara-kun." The two then began to argue. "Sasori, my man, how many times have I told you that art is an explosion?" the girl eeped. "No, art is something that lasts long after the maker, like the Hokage monument of Konoha." Deidara shook his head. "No, art has to be brief, but elegant. Volcanoes are art, beautiful reds crosscading an abyss of darkness." "Deidara-kun, let's finish this later, we have a Jinchuriki to capture," Deidara grinned. "And a hot piece of art to collect as well," Hotaru eeped. "Leave Hotaru-chan out of this," Utakata groaned as he forced himself back up, before collapsing back to the ground. Hotaru forced herself in between them. "Try it, and I'll show you art." Water release. Violent water wave. A burst of water was blasted at the duo from Hotaru's mouth. The duo then sighed. Nice effort anyway, but nonetheless, they avoided the jutsu and the non-pointed end of Sasori. Tail smashed into Hotaru, knocking her to the ground. He sighed. "Grab them." Beast wave palm. A wave of wind chakra was blasted towards the duo, who avoided the attack. Taysun, standing on the branch of a overlooking tree, sighed. "Strange, aren't you guys supposed to be waiting a little longer till you try and catch 'em all?" he chuckled. Sasori didn't get it, and Deidara suddenly had an urge to grab his DS. "I do not like the game, but I saw on TV that Pokemon Black and White came out today, so why not joke on it? New orders from the boss, and I have no." Deidara blinked. you're that guy who fought the boss and killed Hidan-san, Taysun shrugged. Yep, that's me, Sasori glared at him, before he sent his tail flying at him, its tip glinting with purple poison. Taysun got stabbed, before he grinned. Scorch release. Heat clone implosion. The Taysun clone burst into flames, blasting Deidara and Sasori with heat. The flames also flew towards Hotaru and Utakata, who were watched over by the real Taysun. Aura release. Aura shield. A wall of blue chakra rose forth and protected the two downed water users. Deidara grinned, despite part of his hair smoking, and Sasori's cloak had burns in it, revealing an inhuman face, like a puppet. You know, this guy could be a fine artist, Deidara surmised. Sasori groaned. Oh shut up, this is already going to make us late enough. He sent his tail flying at Taysun, who rolled out of the way to avoid the attack. To find a clay squirrel waiting for him. Ah nuts. Boom. The explosion sent Taysun flying into the air, his cloak on fire. Sasori chuckled. Actually, not bad Deidara. He sent his tail straight towards Taysun's heart, his eyes closed. It was at the last second that Taysun opened his eyes. Storm release. Great twister. A twister formed around him, not only clenching the flames on his cloak, but also blocking the tail. He flew straight at the duo, who avoided the attack again with great agility. A rut was dug as the storm collided into the ground, as Taysun burst out of the dissipating twister. Impressive, you're definitely smarter than the Reaper Nut, but perhaps not smart enough. Wind release, tempest burst. Taysun smashed the ground as a burst of powerful wind smashed into the area, knocking Deidara and Sasori into trees. Now to end it. Storm release, storm fist. A swirling vortex of clouds formed around Taysun's fist, as he leapt at Deidara. Deidara looked terrified, before he smirked. Art is an explosion. Taysun groaned. Oh crap. Deidara, Sasori, Utakata and Hotaru exploded, engulfing the area in flames. From above on a clay bird, Deidara and Saswar observed the situation, with Hotaru and Utaka bound by the bird's tail feathers and several claw millipedes. That should take care of the guy. Deidara grinned. No one can escape my masterpieces. Sasori stared into the flames. Don't be so sure, he commented. Deidara grinned. Lighten up would ya? He's cooked, toast, dead. Then what is that chakra chain currently coiled around this bird? Sasori commented. Deidara's eyes went wide. A chain of glowing blue chakra was hanging on from his bird's leg, and the chains were wrapped around Taysun's arm. Uzumaki hidden technique. Chakra chains. Not bad, is it boys? An impressive trick before. Didn't it see it coming, but do you know this trick? It's called water release. Water bullet. A burst of water was blasted from Taysun's mouth. Deidara responded with several clay dragonflies. The dragonflies impacted into the water, dissolving while negating the attack. Taysun used the distraction, however, to spin the chains like a swinging vine around the bird, and pushed him onto the bird's back via motion. Taysun grinned. I suggest handing over the girl and the jinchuriki, Sasori answered with a stab from his poison-tipped tail, that Taysun avoided before giving Deidara a left hook. The blonde avoided the punch, before he felt the elbow of said hook smash into his head, knocking him off the bird. Quickly forming another, he flew upwards back to the bird, as Taysun avoided a swarm of poison needles from Sasori. Storm release. Blade of Katrina. A blade of storms formed in his hand, that was quickly used to slice the tail of the bird off. Sasori groaned as he jumped off, while Taysun nabbed the forms of Utakata and Hotaru, as the bird blew up above them. Sasori landed on Deidara's new bird, as they glared at their falling forms. Taysun grabbed a kunai from his bag and wrapped a seal tag around it, before tossing it at the duo. Their bird easily avoided it, but then the seal activated by Taysun's ram seal, warping the duo, somewhere. That where Sasori and Deidara blinked, finding themselves in some relaxing hot springs, however they were in the wrong genders, and one ticked-off blonde with abnormally breasts and her flat-chested black-haired assistant were among them. Pervert. Deidara and Saswar barely avoided death by hand of ticked-off Sanin, though Sasori had to spend several weeks repairing his puppet. Back to the original where of course, they still had the whole, falling to their death, issue, but Utakata had that covered. Water release. Floating bubble technique. Utakata called out, as a bubble formed around the trio as they descended. Taysun sighed. So, you guys want to know who those clowns were? One warning conversation like the one with Onoki and Roshi followed. Back in Konoha. And now, for the 10th and final question, Ibiki grinned heavily at the diminished group. He then entered a rant about how the question had more rules, and could leave one a genin forever, and a whole lot of other nonsense. The wimps were quickly weeded out, and after about 5 minutes, Ibiki smiled. Then, I congratulate you all on passing the first part of your exam. A lot of angry questioning from the non-prepared people followed. Sakura whined about all the work she had to do. Sasuke lied and said he knew about it the whole time, and Lee proclaimed how the flames of youth led him through the exams. This prompted an angry response from the duo who followed. The Song of Thunder and their elements collided. This time, the genin, Chunin and head Tobextu Jonin shivered in fear. That is so troublesome, it's a drag. The bug must be doing it, only it's that evil. My Con 4 food is shivering. It appears my bugs are suddenly shivering and having a die off. Hey, knock it off, Akamaru is whimpering, Akamaru not on my head. Scary, I'm glad my Sharingan can't copy that. Find a happy place, find a happy place. Dieting, fashion, Sasuke, maybe not that. Master Danzo must get those genjutsu. Maybe I should get those too in INT, they'd make a good pair of apprentices, Ibiki thought to himself. Sasuke-kun, stop them. Sasuke grinned. Well then, I'll be your guest, Chidori. The assassination jutsu formed in Sasuke's hand as he charged at the Cloud Genin, before in mere seconds, a spinning purple blur burst through the window, tossed up a banner, and used a snake to stop Sasuke via constriction. The banner announced, the second proctor, the sexy and dangerous Mitrashi Anko, and said female grinned. So, who's ready for number 2? Original tricks of my stories. Wind release. Tempest burst rank. See description, a powerful burst of wind enters the area around. Storm release. Storm fist Keke Genke B. Description, a fist of congealed storms form in one's fist to punch someone. Chapter 24. The ice-cold fear of the forest of death. Testing room. The entire assortment of genin were staring wide-eyed at the nutty, hyperactive, sort of deranged female. While some of the males were staring at her in lust, due to her strange fashion sense that more or less should be in a red light district, Sakura was glaring at her annoyed. Why does the screaming nutcase have bigger boobs than I do? I'm worth 100 times more than that snake whore, mother said so. Erg, if she had blonde hair or blue eyes, I'd wonder if she was Naruto's mother. Anko meanwhile was grinning internally. The little ego duck got bit, check. Dramatic entrance, check. Ticked of Ibiki, check. But why am I getting sudden old vibes? Okay twerps, if anyone just was thinking of me in a fashion that sounds like old, ancient, geezer, mother, or anything of that fashion, please say so, she demanded as she let Sasuke go from her snake's fangs. After all, better to draw out the torture. To her grin, the duck emo's teammate whose hair resembled regurgitated cotton candy paled. She chuckled heavily. Ibiki groaned. That chuckle always brought pain and agony. So it was you flesh hair. So, which of the above were you thinking of? Sakura shook her head and refused to say anything. She chuckled. Odd, a team is refusing to listen to their proctor. Perhaps elimination is in their future. Sakura gasped. She'd let her Sasuke down. Well, I sort of thought you were like, the baka. Specifics. 5.3. Hey, actually count 4 would ya? Naruto baka. Dotten sort of wondered if you were related. Naruto shivered at the comment. Anko chuckled. That's a laugh, I'll let you live. But your team now has to go into the next challenge with a handicap, because of your little quirk. So, training ground 44, 8 o'clock, be late and I will show you my venomous snakes. Bring long-term rations, ninja tools, anti-venom, first aid gear, and a rubber duck. She body flickered away, leaving a lot of nervous chuckling. Damn you ugly pink girl, Sai muttered to himself, is that psycho really like me? Naruto asked Fu and Haku as they passed. They shrugged. Besides the psychoness. Yes, green suit child was dragged out of the room by his teammates. Mark my words, the flames of youth will triumph over the Song of Thunder. Just try me weirdo, The dark-skinned female smirked. If somehow you are right, which I do not believe it will be, I will devour 100 packets of Guy Sensei's super ninja cuisine at once. His female teammate looked at him like he was crazy. Lee, they banned those things after the last time you did that. Your apartment's bathroom was deemed condemned. The next day, training ground 44, the gathered teams stared nervously into a locked-off forest, filled with screeches, howls, moans, giant bugs and snakes, and the occasional tune of mariachi music for some reason. Anko grinned as she began to speak. Okay twerps, this here is my little stretch of Konoha, training ground 44, or as I like to call it, the Forest of Death. Thunder roared from somewhere. Did anyone else hear the thunder? Shikamaru asked. Anko grinned. What thunder? Shikamaru shivered as more rumbled. What is she, a troublesome witch? What's that? Another team wants a handicap. Shikamaru started waving his hands frantically, as did Ino and Kuiji. No, we're good, Anko chuckled. Sorry, you guys aren't chickening out of it now. But trust me, pass and I'll put in a good word for you, for overcoming adverse circumstances. Anyway, from each of the entrances to my little Eden, you will all burst out and seek out one another in a 5-day battle for survival. By the end, you must get to my lovely adobe, the giant tower in the center, with both a heaven. In one hand now was a white scroll, an earth scroll, a black one was in her other hand. Also, if any of you die, your entire team loses, just to let you know. In all, I'm playing host to 34 teams today, and only 16 pairs of scrolls are in play. Hinata rose her hand. What happened to the other pair of them? Anko grinned. Oh, Team Pink and Duck, as well as Team Lazy, are starting out without any scrolls. Sasuke and the others paled. Are you serious? Anko frowned. Hey, either that or I'll poison you with a slow-acting poison for the trip into the woods. Your call. Oh, and would you all sign these consent forms? She drew a series of forms from her jacket. That way I can't be sued if you die. Mitrashi Tower. You know, Taffy actually made a good point. Anko-san could be family of Naruto-kun for all we know, Fluffy commented from one of the spare bedrooms while Taysun stared into the forest. For all we know, she probably could have adopted him if she was older or something, and probably would have pushed it. After all, she may just be more unfairly disliked than Naruto-kun is. Taysun frowned. You know, she probably doesn't help Image with the psychoness and the snakes. Talk about a giant banner saying, Orochimaru Tematrained me. I mean, Naruto-kun can't remove the fox whiskers from his cheeks, but at least he doesn't go around summoning foxes. If there were any to summon, or loving the number 9. Though, perhaps if one day they look past the fox, and treat Naruto with decency, perhaps they'd lay off her as well, Fluffy grinned. Or, we go with my plan, Taysun frowned. Your plans aren't human nor humane. For example, you wanted to add that pheromone seal onto my masterpiece of a seal I placed on Naruto, which is perhaps the most complicated seal ever crafted. That took a year of planning, Fluffy sighed. But if he had that, he wouldn't have any trouble getting ladies. Yes, but if he had that seal, even Kaharu Tem would be trying to get laid by him, and the poor kid would be dying of a broken pelvis in weeks. However, let's lay off those thoughts, and turn our attention to this crucial moment. Should Orochimaru Tem succeed here and the cursed seal appear, the Uchiha will have to be put down. However, because of us both being Uzumaki, and the Clan Compensation Act, should I kill him, Naruto-kun will be legally bailed with my debt, and while not executed, he will see banishment in the future, so I'll have to act, indirectly. I could kill the brat, Fluffy grinned. Taysun sighed. Actually, I was thinking of someone else, with the most pathetic seal I've ever seen. Damn Yondiame Keizkage Baka, you're just moking sealists with what you did to your son. In the forest of death, more thunder. Naruto, Fu and Haku dashed through the forest, a heaven scroll hidden in Fu's carrying bag on her back. As they continued to dash through the woods, they found a trap waiting for them, if you could call it that. Said trap was really poorly held together, ninja wire and disguise worse than Konohamaru's. Haku sighed. Honestly, what idiots. Wind release, frosty wind. A blast of frozen wind was blown from Haku's mouth, easily blasting away the wire and blowing off the disguise, revealing a trio of male Konoha genin. They all had a set of expensive ninja wear and an air de arrogance around them. One had armlets of out-of-print coins around his wrists, the second had earrings made of silver that resembled sickles, and the leader had a leather jacket that had the insignia of Konoha Civilian Affairs Office. Why, if it isn't Uzumaki and his bitch duo, the Civilian Affairs jacket guy smirked. Naruto rose an eyebrow in confusion. And who the hell are you three? They looked infuriated. Watch it, worm, we're above you. My father is the head of Civilians Affairs, the coin guy chuckled. Pops is the richest businessman in Konoha, the sickle earring guy grinned. My father is the big H in the agriculture department, they pointed their outdrawn fists at them. They are on the council. Fu sighed. We care about that, why? They collapsed to the ground, before rising in fury. You impudent swine, we are the most powerful genin here. Demon scum like you don't deserve to even carry a kunai, so hand it over and I will only have you three written up for disorderly conduct, Naruto scoffed. Hell yeah you won't. Lightning release Thunder Ball. A ball of static formed in Naruto's hand before he slugged it at the trio, who avoided it with a clumsy gait. How the hell did you guys become ninja? I know academy students with more agility than you. Naruto scoffed. Meanwhile in class, Konohamaru and his team sneezed. How dare you mock our power? Coin guy yelled in fury. Ninja art, coins of death. The coins on his arms suddenly flew out and started spinning like saw blades, flying straight at them. That is just pathetic. The trio easily dodged the coins before getting behind the trio. Fu poked her foe, the coin man, with minimal strength, to find the guy losing balance and tripping. Laughing, Fu just shoved him off the tree. A loud crash signaled his fall to the ground. Fire release. 1,000 years of death. The jacket guy felt violated, and a burning feeling up his ass as he crashed to the ground with a smoking ass, and not in a good way. His designer briefs must have caught on fire, and his pants quickly caught ablaze as well. The sickle guy was prepared though, and tried to give a sucker punch to Haku, who grabbed it with one hand, before kneeing him in the nuts and sending him flying to the ground, before grabbing his scroll. Sadly, it was a heaven scroll, like their own, not even worth it. Fu shook her head sadly. Haku pocketed the scroll anyway. Well, better than leaving it here for someone to grab a freebie, or burning it and giving away our position. Well, let's try to find an actual team now, then. Mitrashi Tower Fluffy shivered as she stared into the woods. A vibe of evil, a vibe of snakes. Taysun gave her a look. You felt it too, didn't you? He nodded. It is too late now. The Uchiha has a curse mark. Too bad, now we have to kill him now. You mean, have Gaara do it? Yeah, pretty much, back in the woods. As Team 11 continued their jaunt through the woods, they heard a sound, a desperate screaming sound. The scream seemed female in origin. So, someone else is having a little jaunt with doom it appears, Haku commented with a sigh. It was then punctuated with an evil laughter. That doesn't sound. The group nodded, as they leapt from tree to tree, drawing towards the center of the sound. The sound was coming from a clearing, where the Kumo team lay, with the dark-skinned members of the team out cold, and the blonde-haired girl with the large breasts being held against a tree by a large hulking man with orange hair, multiple ringed purple eyes in a black cloak decorated in red clouds. So, you're the apprentice of the Hachibi, and the niece of the Nibi. You're a valuable negotiation tool, he commented, before out of nowhere, he felt a fireball jutsu strike his chest and send him flying into a nearby tree. Samui turned and saw the Konoha team. Hey oldie, somehow I doubt you're a genin. Fu smirked. So why are you here? The man stared at them. So, it's the Kyuubi and the Nanabi, he commented. Samui's eyes went wide, her theories were right. You just saved me from hunting you down, now I, the Naraka Path, will defeat you. The giant man charged at the trio, before Fu charged at him as well, as their hands gripped the other. They gritted against one another, with their strength equal, before he started to push her palms back as if to snap them. Hell, this guy is something else. Fu grunted. Well, seeing as she knows. Fu's eyes flashed yellow as she entered her initial state, a red aura surrounding her briefly, before forcing him off. He grunted. Fire release. Fire fists of the warring god. Flames burst to life on his fists, before he used them to smash into Fu, before. Water release. Water ball. A water ball sashed his fists, dousing their flames as Fu was smashed into the arms of Haku. She nodded. Naruto-kun, I've got her, just deal with that ogre. Naruto nodded. I hear ya. Fire RRLEASE, Wyvern Flame Jutsu. A lesser fire dragon was blasted from Naruto's mouth into the behemoth, who used brute strength to break the flames before smashing down on Naruto, who grinned, before exploding into smoke. A shadow clone, and a genin did it as well, even as a Jinchuriki. That's amazing, Samui said astonished. This guy, he's cool. Lightning style. Shock palm. Naruto smashed into the behemoth, who was briefly covered in static, before he smashed the kid up the head, who exploded into smoke as well. Again, you twerp, I am a manifestation of God. Nah, multi-shadow clone jutsu. Thousands of Narutos appeared around the Nakara path, before they began pouting the giant. He tired to fight back, but every clone he smashed just was replaced. Uzumaki barrage. The path was smashed into the air via the combo attack, before about a Theswan's clones formed above him. 1000 Naruto's dramatic smash. The Narutos forced the behemoth into the ground with massive force, rendering a hole deep into the moist earth, before water started pouring into the hole. He'd hit an underground spring. Water release. Water fang bullet. Drilling bullets of water rose from the water, before smashing into the path. Naruto landed on the ground, panting, before his shadow clones gasped and exploded. And rising up from the water, was a log. Substitution. You shall pay for disrespecting God. The Naraka path leapt from above, before smashing down towards Naruto with all his strength. Lightning release. Thunder dome. A dome of electricity formed around Naruto, as the path smashed down into it. Doden broke through it and pummeled Naruto. He collapsed to the ground, blood trickling from him. Samui and Haku's eyes were wide. No, no, no. Water release, water ball. Lightning release. Surge of Lightenting. A water ball and a blast of lightning were sent at the Naraka path in revenge, who merely blocked HME with his hands, and reflected them back into both of them, injuring both of them. Pathetic. You're not worth it. Earth release, Rock's fist. Stones surrounded the Pain's fists, before he leapt straight at Haku. Die. God has no use for you. Meanwhile in the seal, the ice kanji had appeared. Out of nowhere, a wall of ice rose up between her and the path. Both of them stared in shock. I didn't. Ice release. Ice barrier. Naruto panted, glowing red due to his Kyuubi chakra. You will not hurt my friends. Samui was wide-eyed. How does he have that Kekkei Genkai? That's not Kyuubi's element, the path was thinking as she said this. Just like Taysun, my mere scouting mission has devolved. Original jutsu, and their description ninja art, coins of death. Rank, E description, coins are used like shuriken to attack the foe, can't cause real harm. Fire release, fire fists of the warring god rank, a description, one sets his fists on fire for taijutsu, the flames are incurable for normal Jinchuriki healing fire release. Wyvern flame jutsu rank, D description, lesser version of dragon flame lightning release. Shock palm rank, C description, a flat palm, ridden with electricity, is forced onto the opponent lightning release. Surge of lightning rank, C description, a blast of lightning is sent at the foe. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video be sure to like, comment and subscribe as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.